Now let's turn our focus to the Metasploit framework itself. Here I will talk briefly about the individual components of the framework. It's important to understand the origins of the framework, its community of developers and users, and how that plays with Rapid7, the commercial company that supports it. First, there's a high-level project known as the Metasploit project. The Metasploit framework is a subproject and what we commonly know as Metasploit, and the focus of this course. The Metasploit framework is open source software. It's licensed under a 3-clause BSD license. The framework today is written in the Ruby programming language, though originally it was written in Perl. The Metasploit framework is designed to be modular, so new functionality can be added easily. You can also create your own modules and integrate those into the framework. Due to its open source nature and use of GitHub for source code management, there's a large community of developers for the Metasploit framework. A majority of the effort is in the development of modules and improvements to the framework. The developers of Metasploit are open to code submissions. There's also an active community of users through online forums and on IRC. In 2009, an information security company called Rapid7 acquired the Metasploit project. It's difficult to define an acquisition when dealing with an open source project. However, in this case, it meant that they hired the original Metasploit framework's developer, H.D. Moore, and funded further development of the Metasploit framework. There are also several spin-off commercial products from the Metasploit framework, such as Metasploit Pro, Metasploit Express, and the Metasploit Community Editions. In order to learn the Metasploit framework and to converse with other users and developers, you'll need to learn the terminology and the components of the framework. The following terms are the most important. Interfaces are the methods by which you'll interact with the Metasploit framework. Utilities are small tools that provide additional functionality to manage your work with the framework. Modules are the heart of Metasploit. Most of the functionality of the framework is provided through its modules. In modular software systems, the capabilities of the core framework is extended through the use of modules. Exploits are modules. They attempt to test a vulnerability by exploiting the weakness of a system. The large number of exploit modules available and the ease at which new ones can be created and distributed with Metasploit demonstrates the real value of the framework to information security professionals. Scanners are also modules. Scanners are known as auxiliary modules and can probe remote systems for information about its configuration or version. A payload is software code delivered to the target system to provide access or to take control of the target system. A payload may contain simple commands or more sophisticated remote access tools. Payloads may communicate back to your testing workstation using listeners. If the target communicates back to our Metasploit system, then the exploit worked and a payload was delivered and executed. The Metasploit framework can be used through 2 interfaces. For this course, we're focusing on only one, the command line. The command line offers all of the capabilities of the Metasploit framework through an easy-to-use text interface. The system also offers online documentation with the help command, which you may need to rely on as you are first starting out. Later in the course, I'll provide command listings and discuss them. I will also conduct demonstrations using the command line. Rapid7 also offers other interfaces with its commercial editions of the framework. The Armitage graphical user interface drives a Metasploit framework command line in the background, but you really need to understand how Metasploit works in order to be effective with the GUI. Armitage is open source as well and is included with Kali Linux, a popular distribution containing security tools and our OS of choice for this course. Utilities provide additional functionality to the Metasploit framework. They're typically tools that you'll use outside of the interactive Metasploit interface. I'll talk about 2 types of utilities here and some changes that have occurred. In previous versions of the Metasploit framework, there were a few more utilities. 2 development philosophies are at play here. One is to consolidate functionality into existing tools to simplify the development effort and decrease the number of tools a user needs to learn how to use. The other is geared around continual development in order to improve the framework. The developers are continually re-examining the workflow and improving it. The MSF CLI command allows a penetration tester to script and automate the execution of the Metasploit framework. You can set an exploit to run and define all of the options needed as parameters on the command line. MSF Payload creates payloads that you send to the target systems. These payloads can provide remote access through a variety of reverse shells, piped commands, interpreter servers and shells, VNC, and others. The payloads can be executed from command shells, using code for programming tools like Java, Python, or Ruby interpreters, Windows DLLs and executables, as well as executables for Android, iOS, Linux, and others. MSF Encode takes payloads and alters them to avoid detection. Antivirus tools have signatures for the Metasploit payloads and can easily detect them. This tool alters the payloads to make signature-based detection more difficult. These three were key utilities in the Metasploit framework, but things have changed. The first change was related to MSF CLI. It's been removed from the framework, but there's an equivalent functionality achieved when you use the MSF console command with the -X option. The next change removed both MSF Payload and MSF Encode and replaced them with MSF Venom, which provides a single tool for payloads and encoding. It's important to mention these changes here because most of the books, tutorials, blog posts, and other older documentation still refer to these utilities. I want to make sure that you're aware that these utilities are different now. The key functionality and our focus for this course will be on the exploits, scanners, listeners, and payloads in the Metasploit framework. While we can't cover every exploit or payload, we'll get you started on your way to learning how to find your way around Metasploit and conducting penetration tests.